Why is Ukraine still draining American tax dollars? It's a question a lot of people are asking right now. For more than 2 years, billions of U.S. taxpayer dollars have been sent overseas to fund Ukraine's fight against Russia. But as the war drags on, inflation rises, and America faces its own crises at home, many Americans are wondering, how much longer will this go on? And more importantly, what are we actually getting in return? Stick around because in this video, I'm breaking down the numbers, the politics, and the hidden reasons behind why Ukraine continues to receive so much U.S. money. Let's start with the raw figures. Since Russia's invasion in February 2022, the United States has committed over $175 billion in aid to Ukraine, and that number is still climbing. Now, this aid isn't all cash. It's a mix of direct financial assistance, military equipment, humanitarian aid, and loans. But here's the catch. Most of this money doesn't come out of thin air. It comes from U.S. taxpayers. Think about that. While average Americans are struggling with rising grocery bills, student loans, and high rent, Washington is approving package after package worth billions for a war happening thousands of miles away. It raises a serious question. Whose priorities are being served here? Now, Washington has its reasons, and you'll hear them repeated a lot. The Biden administration and many in Congress argue that supporting Ukraine is about defending democracy and stopping Russian aggression. The idea is that if Russia succeeds in Ukraine, it could embolden Vladimir Putin to push further into Europe, maybe even threaten NATO allies. So the U.S. positions itself as helping Ukraine today in order to avoid a much bigger and more expensive war tomorrow. Sounds logical on paper, right? But here's where it gets complicated. While U.S. leaders talk about defending democracy abroad, critics argue that America is neglecting its own democracy at home. Crumbling infrastructure, rising debt, homelessness, healthcare costs, problems that billions of dollars could help solve here instead of being shipped overseas. So if Americans aren't seeing much benefit, who is? Well, there are some clear winners. First, the U.S. defense industry. Companies like Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, and Northrop Grumman have seen massive profits as billions of dollars flow into weapons and ammunition production. Remember, when the government sends Ukraine weapons, it often means the Pentagon places new contracts with U.S. arms manufacturers to restock. That's a huge boost for the military-industrial complex. Second, Ukraine's government obviously benefits as they're receiving money and military support that they simply couldn't afford otherwise. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Many Americans feel like they're paying the bill while not seeing any direct return on investment. Politics play a huge role in why the money keeps flowing. For Democrats, supporting Ukraine has become a cornerstone of foreign policy. It's framed as a moral obligation and a defense of global stability. For Republicans, the party is split. Some establishment figures still back Ukraine, seeing it as a way to counter Russia. But a growing number of conservative voices and a lot of regular Republican voters are asking why America is writing blank checks overseas when the southern border isn't secured, when inflation is hurting families, and when national debt is exploding past $30 trillion. This political divide is becoming sharper, and it could shape the 2024 election and beyond. So why is Ukraine still draining American tax dollars? It comes down to three things. Geopolitical strategy. America wants to weaken Russia without sending U.S. troops. The defense industry, which has a powerful lobby in Washington. Political narratives, where leaders don't want to look weak on the world stage. But the problem is, none of this changes the reality that average Americans are footing the bill. And the longer the war drags on, the more people will question whether this strategy is sustainable or even fair. So what do you think? Should America keep sending billions to Ukraine? Or is it time to put America's money back into fixing America? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I really want to hear your take on this. And hey, if you found this breakdown helpful, hit that like button, share this video, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into politics and global issues. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.